The day the last courier screamed in the void canyon, I was still packing envelopes for a routine delivery. But when the sky above the city's highest spire cracked open with silver lightning, I knew nothing about mail would ever be ordinary again. I had always been invisible, a ghost in the empire of Arinder, slipping between the alleys of its towering cities, delivering letters no one read but everyone depended upon. Yet on that day, the dragons, the true sentinels of the realm, looked down at me and lowered their heads. I paused, hand frozen mid-step, as scales shimmered like molten metal in the dying light. Every eye, every slitted pupil, focused on me. But that was only the beginning. The streets were emptying in panic. Citizens scuttled like frightened insects, clutching papers, parcels, even their own children. And there I was, a simple human woman named Leora, clutching an envelope addressed to the High Council of Pyraxis. My pulse hammered in my ears, louder than the distant roar of the approaching skyships. What had I done to command this attention? I stepped forward, and the first dragon, a vast creature with wings the color of storm clouds, lowered its massive head until the tip of its snout nearly kissed the cobblestones. My breath hitched. I could feel the warmth of its ancient body even from several feet away. A whisper of thought passed directly into my mind. She carries the word. What word? I muttered aloud, though the dragon's eyes didn't blink. I had no idea I was carrying anything more than a mail packet. But as I moved, each dragon along the street mirrored the first, bowing in unison as if some invisible force had commanded it. Crowds gasped, fear mixing with awe, yet no one dared approach. I continued walking, my hands trembling. Every clawed footstep behind me echoed like a drumbeat of destiny. The envelope felt heavier than it had any right to, pulsing faintly as though it contained a heartbeat. My thoughts raced. Could a dragon sense what was written inside? But how? I was just a courier. Just delivering mail. That was all I had ever done. By the time I reached the bridge of Pyraxis, spanning the chasm that led to the High Council Hall, the dragons were everywhere. Circling above, perching on rooftops, even lying in the streets, their long necks bowed low. When I lifted my eyes, I saw the grand dragon of the empire, silver and gold scales flashing in the sunlight, wings stretching wider than the largest city gate. It spoke. Not with sound but directly into my mind. Deliver it. Deliver it, or all dies. A shiver ran through me. The words weren't threatening. They were desperate. But for whom? And why me? I had no answer. And yet I could not turn back. Every instinct in my body screamed flight. Yet something deeper, something ancient, urged me forward. As I crossed the bridge, the first micro-hook struck. A sudden tremor shook the stone beneath my feet, sending dust into the air. The bridge was cracking. But it wasn't falling apart. Not yet. Something, or someone, was testing me. I arrived at the hall and was met with the High Council itself. Beings taller than humans, their skin faintly luminescent, eyes reflecting the far reaches of the galaxy. They did not stand as I approached. They knelt. And then, one by one, the entire council, every member of this alien governing body, bowed as well. The envelope in my hands pulsed brighter. I hesitated. Could they read it? Had I unknowingly unleashed a signal of immense power? The Grand Dragon's mind whispered again. Open it only in truth. All else is folly. I tore the envelope, revealing a single sheet of paper. The ink shimmered, moving and shifting as though alive. It was a message from someone, or something, I did not know. It contained a list of names, coordinates, and a final phrase that seemed to burn directly into my consciousness. The Dragonborn must rise. I froze. Dragonborn? Me? I was no warrior. No chosen one. I delivered letters. That was all I had ever been. But the dragons outside trembled, as if sensing the words on the page, waiting. The first revelation hit. The Empire itself had been waiting for someone like me. Someone small, overlooked, inconsequential, and yet essential. My mind reeled. How could an ordinary mail carrier be the linchpin of the entire realm? But then a second microhook. A shadow streaked across the hall, a creature unlike any I had seen, its body composed of fractal light and shifting matter, whispering, "They will try to stop you. Even now." Before I could react, alarms blared. A faction within the council had declared the message heresy. Humans were not meant to ascend. Dragons were meant to serve only the highest echelons. And yet here I was, The first assassination attempt came in the form of a blade of pure energy. I ducked instinctively. One of the dragons slammed into the intruder, scattering light shards across the marble floor. Chaos erupted. The council split. Half demanded my death. Half fell to their knees, eyes wide, murmuring prayers I could not understand. And above all, the dragons roared. My mind was flooded with images. Entire planets in flames, civilizations rising and falling, all revolving around the bearer of the word. All revolving around me. I ran, clutching the envelope like a lifeline, toward the outer chambers. But the middle of the story, the escalation, had begun in earnest. I was no longer a courier. I was a target. A savior. And possibly a weapon. The corridors twisted impossibly, as though the hall itself resisted my passage. Gravity shifted in subtle, disorienting ways. Microhook number 3 hit, a whisper behind me, not a voice, but a presence. You are not alone. But they will come for the word. I spun. A small alien, barely taller than a child, with eyes too large for its face, emerged. It introduced itself as Kale, a librarian of the dragon's ancient archives. It said what I needed to hear. You are the last Dragonborn. The Empire falls without you. I nearly laughed. I had delivered letters. That was it. Yet Kale's eyes, wide with urgency and fear, told me this was no joke. And when it suddenly vanished, leaving behind a floating crystal that hummed with raw energy, I understood. The Empire had been keeping secrets from its own rulers. Secrets that could ignite war across galaxies. I took a deep breath and remembered the Grand Dragon's words. Deliver it. Deliver it, or all dies. I descended to the lower levels, where the portal to the dragon's sanctum awaited. But the path was blocked. The faction that wanted me dead had activated guardians, creatures of metal and fire, half machine, half dragon, designed to annihilate anything deemed unworthy. I ran. I dodged, jumped, fought with nothing but wits and the envelope's pulsing glow. Every step was agony, but every step was necessary. Each obstacle revealed a piece of my destiny. The word wasn't just a letter. It was the culmination of millennia of dragon-human alliances, betrayals, and hidden truths. And I was the key. The halfway mark hit. A major turning point. I reached the sanctum, expecting to be stopped. Instead, the doors opened on their own. Inside was a dragon unlike any other, its scales black as void, eyes burning white. It spoke directly into my mind. You are not what they taught you to fear. You are hope. And then the microhook, the final piece of the word appeared in my vision, showing me a city in flames. And yet, amid the chaos, I saw myself standing tall, dragons bowing around me, the Empire's fate balanced on my hands. I was supposed to fail. But I didn't. I stepped into the sanctum and spoke the word aloud. The dragons outside responded instantly, a wave of reverent energy rolling across the Empire. Each dragon knelt, every citizen watching in awe, every council member stunned into silence. I was no longer Leora, mail carrier. I was the Dragonborn, the heir of a hidden lineage, the bridge between human and dragon, chaos and order. The final confrontation came swiftly. The faction opposed to me surged forward, attempting to seize the word. But the dragons defended me. Fire and lightning, psychic blasts and roars, all converged on the intruders. I raised my hands, feeling the pulse of the word coursing through my veins, and a beam of light shot from me, engulfing the hall. When it cleared, my enemies lay defeated, not killed, but subdued, their hearts filled with awe and recognition of the truth they had denied. The emotional resolution followed. The Grand Dragon landed beside me. You have done what no one else could. The Empire lives because of you. I looked over the kneeling dragons, the liberated council, the citizens staring in wonder, and I realized something profound. The smallest, quietest person could hold the weight of worlds. I had delivered a letter. And in doing so, I had delivered hope. And in the silence that followed, with the sun rising over Arinder and every dragon bowing to me, I whispered to no one and everyone at once. I was just delivering mail. Until today, that was all I ever thought I could be. The Empire would never forget the day a human courier carried a single letter, and became the Dragonborn who commanded an entire realm. And as I watched the dragons spread across the skies, I knew one truth. Some deliveries are far greater than the message they carry. Final cinematic line. The dragons knelt, the sky burned gold, and I realized, Destiny sometimes arrives in an envelope.